NBA champion Michael Malone is set to become North Carolina's new head basketball coach, but the big question we're all asking, is it gonna work?
This is Tyler Zeller, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Tuesday, April 7th, 2026. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast. I'm your host, Isaac Shade. Coming up on the show today, later on, we got to talk about some portal entries. So far, as we record this at 9:05 a.m. Eastern time, there are 4 of them, and the portal has been open for just over 9 hours. I know how numbers work. Then we'll get to talking about new head coach Michael Malone. Our buddy Mark Campbell weighed in yesterday. He and I had a text message exchange, former North Carolina Tar Heel, who has firsthand experience with NBA coach Michael Malone. He weighs in. We'll talk about it. But the first thing I want to get to today is this big question that everyone seems to be asking and everyone seems to have a differing opinion on. Will this work? So we're going to unpack it. As we get ready to do so, I need to say 3 things ahead of us getting into that. Number 1, we are coming off of the NCAA championship last night. Of course, we have to say congrats to our guy, Elliot Cadeau in Michigan, for winning the 2026 championship. I have been kind of down on Michigan, but boy, did they show up and show out. And Elliot was Mr. Steady Eddie throughout. The MOP. Elliot, congrats, man. I doubted it. Hand up. I'm never going to shy away from those things, right? You all know me. I will give my takes and my opinions. And when I'm wrong, I'm going to be the first to say it, as long as I remember that I said it. If I don't, remind me, and I'll apologize for it. But man, incredible stuff from them. And of course, the best news, if Carolina didn't win, thanks to UConn for knocking off Duke. Number 2, I got to tell you right now, I already said it, but the portal is open now, basically open like half an hour after the game finished. So what that means here on the show is we get into speculation season. We just start looking at different players that either Carolina has reportedly target, or who I'm just like, hey, Carolina should go after them. Or maybe that you all, I already have somebody asked me to do a show on Wake Forest's Juke Harris. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. We need to do that. So buckle up for those. And thirdly, to keep in mind, we're talking about the Michael Malone hire as though it is a thing that's already happened. Every indication seems to suggest that it will. There's been literally nothing to tell me that it hasn't or that it won't. But as of right now, let's refresh goheels.com in real time. As of right now, there is still nothing officially from the school. No announcement, no press conference, no term sheet, any of that. We expect that to come, but just know that everything right now is still probable North Carolina head coach Michael Malone. So keep all that in mind. All right, here we go. As we begin to talk about Coach Malone, one thing to get straight, it is not Mike. He prefers Michael. I got to shout out my buddy and one of our friends here on Locked On Tar Heels, Mr. Davis Wallace, who reminded me of that yesterday. You can go check out. There's some hilarious clips of him correcting people. So Michael Malone, don't shorten that bad boy to Mike. Maybe his friends, but professionally, Michael is what he prefers. Also, something that I really appreciate about this whole thing is there was this whole contingent because Carolina didn't get Tommy Lloyd or Dusty May. It was like, oh, the Carolina brand doesn't carry the cachet. And maybe at some extent because they didn't get their very first choice, who I would probably say it seems like was Tommy Lloyd. But the fact that you've lured an NBA, champion coach to come be your head coach, you tell me it doesn't carry the weight. It still carries weight in a big way. In fact, On Three's Pete Nakos reported yesterday that Michael Malone was a top name in the New Orleans Pelicans coaching search, but ultimately decided to take Carolina's job. And I think something some people are scared about that we're going to talk about not today, but another day is what happens though, and maybe it's actually part of our reason why this might not work, is that Coach Malone might be back off to the NBA. That was a fear with Belichick, right? So but maybe that was part of the reason Carolina kept this under the hood a little bit, is so that NBA teams wouldn't be like, oh, crud, we got to get this going because Carolina wants him. So there is that. But I ultimately would say to you that this did not go the way of the Kentucky search. A lot of people said, oh, Carolina basically had the same issue Kentucky did. I mean, maybe, but not near the same level. Carolina gets a high-level, proven guy, with all due respect to Mark Pope, who had success at BYU and another stop before that. I mean, he wasn't an NBA champion, Mark Pope. So it's just comforting that Carolina didn't have the same issue as Kentucky. All right, here we go. Will it work? That is a fair and valid question about this hire of Michael Malone. Why? Well, what's not in doubt is the X's and O's. This dude is a baller, like coach, schematically, the way his defenses play, the way his offenses play, that side of things, if the personnel is right, is going to be great. And we'll talk about that. What is in question, I think, for most people right now is everything around the actual basketball coaching. And I was like, well, Isaac, if he can coach, everything else should be great. Well, maybe, but that's not the only thing, unfortunately. There is an unknown to what North Carolina has done. Here's what I mean. North Carolina is not the first school in the last couple of years to go get somebody that is an NBA personnel and bring them back to college. We've seen 4 major instances that I can think of this happening. And I'll give it to you chronologically. This is where my Locked On College basketball coverage comes in handy. We saw BYU do this first with Kevin Young, brought him from, I believe he was a Suns assistant at the time, to be their head coach. Not a BYU alum. That's a difference from some of the other schools. Then Utah did it, bringing in alum Alex Jensen from the NBA. He was an assistant coach. They brought him in to be their head coach. We saw Florida State do this last offseason with Luke Laux, alum, played at FSU, came from being an NBA assistant to being the head coach at FSU. And then the fourth example I have for you is Jacques Vaughn this offseason went from being an NBA assistant to being an assistant at Kansas under Bill Self. Now, what you heard me say about all those other 4 dudes, assistant NBA. Michael Malone is the lone version of that came from being an NBA head coach. Now, I know he's not been coaching this year, but his last stop was 12 or so years as an NBA head coach. I believe it was 11 with the Nuggets. I need to go back and count it, I guess, at some point, and 1 with the Kings. And so you have that unknown. North Carolina, one of the things that was talked about was, hey, because of the inexperience of Hubert Davis, the Tar Heels have to get an experienced and capable coach who has a winning pedigree. Well, guess what? They got that, just not in the way that any of us thought that they would. We thought that it would come in the form of somebody who had collegiate winning pedigree, like a Tommy Lloyd, like a Dusty May. That didn't happen. And so North Carolina pivoted instead of, okay, so we'll get somebody that seems like he's going to be a winner, a Mark Byington, but maybe hasn't done it yet. Ben McCollum, he has been a winner, 4 national championships at the D2 level, an NCAA tournament win at Drake, multiple NCAA tournament wins at Iowa this year. But it's not, I would have loved that, but I think some people didn't see that as having arrived yet. Michael Malone has done it at an even higher level than the NCAA. But the question for everyone is, yeah, I see this winning pedigree, but it's not at the NCAA level. And it is different. You can't just come back down, because for a lot of folks, here it is. Tell me why this isn't Bill Belichick 2.0. Well, it's not. We can get into that another time, but no, it's absolutely not. So will it work? What I want to do is take a look at both sides of this. The yes, it will work. And if it doesn't work, here are some reasons why. That's the next part of the conversation we're going to have. And that's coming up here in just a second.
I'm Clea Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. The NCAA Women's Basketball Tournament Elite 8 wrapped up with the UConn Huskies staying undefeated at 38-0 after a decisive win over Notre Dame, while the UCLA Bruins rallied past Duke behind a dominant second-half performance. On the other side, the remaining 1 seeds in South Carolina and Texas will be determined after their matchups against TCU and Michigan, respectively. Next up, the Final Four is set for Friday in Phoenix, with the winners advancing to the national championship on Sunday. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
Thanks for making Locked On Tar Heels your first listen or watch. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You've been thinking about joining the Everyday Club? Now's the time. You get ad-free versions of the show, one-on-one messaging with me, where I'm going to share all the rumors I can with you about every just portal target and name that's out there, assistant coach speculation, all of that. Join it. The link's down in the show notes. Get a free month by using promo code MARCH. All right. Will this work? Let's take a look at both sides of it. I hope you know me, that I am mostly a glass half full person. And so let me share that with you. I tend towards the positive spin of just about anything, because I love college basketball and I love sports and I love the people that plays it. And I want to celebrate those things. I don't go cynical first, but I do always want to be fair and balanced in my reporting and coverage and thoughts. So that's what we're going to do. Will it work? Here's the way I want to say it. It has to work. Isaac, that's short-sighted of you. It doesn't have to work. This could easily go off the rails. You're right. But here's what I mean. North Carolina cannot allow this to not work. They cannot afford this to not work. They have to make it happen. And so I say that to say they've got to do whatever they can to surround Coach Michael Malone with everything he needs to be a successful coach at the NCAA level. And so by that, I mean financial resources. One of the great things about this hire is you didn't have to go buy out a sitting head coach, pay the rest of his salary in addition to the Hubert Davis buyout and in addition to his new salary. So that buyout money is there and available to use for other things. So give Coach Michael Malone everything he needs to pay great assistants, to pay players, to get, guys that he needs to fit his system. It might be players, sometimes in portal season, we see guys commit and it's like, oh, that's not a great fit or a really splashy name. And then they go out and kill it. And so just patience with that. But it's got to work because North Carolina has to resource Coach Malone. Number two, they got to get him the assistance that he needs and wants. This is another area where I do not expect this to be a Bill Belichick hire where, if we're being honest, a lot of the coaches he brought in around him was very Nepo babies, right? I expect Coach Malone to bring in absolute dudes to be his assistants. Again, you get 5 of them now in college basketball, not 3. Will he retain any of the former staff? If so, the names I would think with that might be Pat Sullivan. There's a bit of a connection there. Obviously not Marcus Page because he's already got another gig. But would there be somebody who has had head coaching experience like Jeff Lebo? I don't expect that to happen. Maybe somebody else, a head coaching experience at the NCAA level, but keep that in mind. Another question is GM. Will Coach Malone retain Jim Tanner as his GM, or will he bring in somebody else that he might know and trust a little bit more? Another reason this has to work is because while there are names on both sides of it, by and large, I've seen former players be elated with this hire, from Tyler Hansbrough to Theo Pinson to Joel Barrett to Justin. To Ty Lawson. I saw that on Twitter this morning. Name after name after name of guys who are thrilled with this hire. Dudes who are so bought in and opinionated, and that encourages me that they see it and they want it and like it. Another reason I think this has to work is that one of the things that's true about Michael Malone is he will not stand for anything less than excellence. He is a demanding head coach. I've even seen some say, like, this is North Carolina's Dan Hurley, but with Carolina version of that, meaning he's not really Dan Hurley, but he will do it in a Carolina way, but that demands excellence. And that is something, one of the things that I struggled with in the Hubert Davis era is it felt like there was not the Roy Williams, Dean Smith level of, I will not accept anything less than your very best. And if so, you're going to go sit your butt on the bench and I'm going to find somebody who will. That is what we will see with Michael Malone. Now, some of this, will it work, is going to be up to the players in that regard, because he's going to coach them hard and they've got to be ready and willing to respond. Now, I think he's going to go out and get players who will be ready and willing to do that, including so current roster guys, including those who have entered the portal. We'll talk about that in a minute, have to respond well. One of the reasons I think this will work is at North Carolina, you got to have a coach that can handle the spotlight. Michael Malone has already proven that he can, because he's, again, done it in a bigger spotlight of the NBA and winning a championship there. He's ready and prepared to handle that. And again, got to have a coach with winning pedigree. And while he doesn't have it at the collegiate level, he does have over 500 NBA wins and the most wins in Nuggets history. That's great. Now, Isaac, if this doesn't work, why not? What would happen that would cause us 2, 3 years, 4 or 5 years down the road to say, boy, that's back-to-back coaches where it just did not work? That's a great question. Perhaps one of the reasons it doesn't work is that the learning curve is too steep. I truly do not expect this. And when I say learning curve, again, I don't mean the X's and O's. I fully believe Coach Michael Malone will have that in spades because he's proven it over and over again. What I mean is all the peripheral stuff surrounding it. Of in the NBA, for the most part, just to get to be head coach Michael Malone. Here, there are all the things that come along with kind of glad handing the boosters and doing all of those things. This, to me, the learning curve is going to be up to everyone around him trusting the people around him who either A, have done it before, B, have done it before at Carolina. What's up, Eric Hoots, or other people like that. But one reality is that Coach Michael Malone is not able to quickly adjust and adapt to the NCAA way of doing things, which is, I think, part of the issue we saw with the Belichick regime in year one. Number two, it didn't work because he didn't get the right players. Again, whether it's because of how hard he's going to coach them or needing to want to get certain types of players that fit what he wants to do, if he's unable to do that, at least in year one, where the portal's already open today, and I know, there will probably be names that we see commit today, but there's going to be plenty of fish in the sea. So we'll see what happens there. Number three, it didn't work potentially because players didn't buy in. These guys have to be willing to give themselves to the process. We just saw UConn and Michigan do it at the highest level. I mean, there wasn't the greatest game last night, but I just mean in terms of getting there. Part of it is UConn guys are always bought into what Danny Hurley needs from them. Say what you will about Danny Hurley. He gets his guys to run the system he needs in addition to his assistants. Michigan, Dusty May has figured out what he wants to do. You've got others that do that. So part of the reason that you might look back and say, boy, that didn't work, is because the players don't buy in. Ultimately, again, I'm of the mind that it will work, but it would be silly of us and short-sighted to not imagine a world in which it didn't. I'm sure there are other things, including this one. And I think I saw somebody in the chat ask about this. Yes, it's from JSN23NC. I think the biggest worry is, will the NBA come knocking once Michael Malone has success at North Carolina? I can see the Lakers wanting him after LeBron is gone, something like that. And this is another fair and valid point, similar to Coach Belichick, is would he just leave and go off to the NBA? I think we got to wrestle with that, and I get it and I understand it. I kind of want to hold on this until we see what the terms of his contract are, what the buyout is, because you got to believe that North Carolina is going to be aware of this and know it. And I wouldn't be shocked at all to see them put things in place to stop that from happening. Oh, and by the way, his daughter is going to have 2 more years at North Carolina. Bridget is a sophomore volleyball player at North Carolina. And so, I think that's at least somewhat part of it. And I'm already sick and tired of hearing this storyline. It's going to be a storyline in every game next season. Hey, welcome to the broadcast. It's North Carolina hosting Clemson. Did you know that new head coach Michael Malone's daughter Bridget plays volleyball here, right? Like, we're going to hear that ad nauseum. So just buckle up for that right now, I'm telling you. But I think that is part of what might keep him around. Now, I have had the opportunity to hear from quite a few former players who reached out, and we texted our guy Jesse Hawley, who is going to come on the show probably later this week at some point. We were texting some about it yesterday, but our buddy Mark Campbell, who had kind of got out of this game a little bit and into real estate. He's building his family just recently, added to their family. And so he's got a lot going on, but he texted me yesterday and I was so glad he did. And I shared this text with Mark's permission. In fact, he said, yeah, dude, share it far and wide. So here is what Mark said to me. Mark Campbell, who played at North Carolina, was a walk-on, went on to be an NBA shooting coach with all sorts of names that you would know. Go look it up. But one of those is Malik Beasley, who played for head coach Michael Malone and for whom Mark was a consultant at times. And so here's what Mark said to me. Isaac, I couldn't be more excited. Boom, period. I love that. He says, I worked with Malik Beasley for 2 years when he played in Denver for Coach Malone, and then I consulted for them later on. My guys are asking me, meaning I'm assuming Mark means his Carolina guys, are asking me the top 3 reasons he'll be successful at North Carolina. And here's what Mark gave me as those 3 reasons. Number 1, best defensive teacher I've seen. He doesn't get crazy creative, but keeps very strong principles, and he's unrelenting about you either play them consistently or you don't play. Boy, I love that. In a day and age where we've seen for the last half decade, guys get more of a leash for some of those things than maybe we wish. That's great. So solid, what I'm taking away from that, solid defense, not flashy, but gets the job done with strong baseline principles. But you either, and the way it works is because you either do those or you don't play. Man, I'm great with that. Number 2 from Mark Campbell. This makes me so happy. Holds a firm line on being a good person, and that's a non-negotiable. Doesn't take any BS and isn't afraid to let you go if you're giving it. No one is above the team. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. For anybody who is worried, man, Carolina sure does look like they're going to go outside the family. Will it be someone who maintains the Carolina way? Will it be someone who maintains family? Yes, undoubtedly, yes. Because Coach Michael Malone has already bought into the Carolina family because he has family at Carolina. That makes him an in-law, maybe. But then this whole thing about you got to be he expects a lot of you, but you can't be a turd. You've got to be a great person. And if you're not giving it, get out of the way, because this is about North Carolina, not shade or, whatever the name on the back of the jersey is, that old cliche. I love this, man. And the third thing from Mark about why he believes this will be successful, he's an NBA champion and coach of the year. Mark says he is by far and away the one coach right now in college that can tell a player he knows exactly what their role would be in the NBA. And if they play it at UNC, he will sing that song to the people that matter. Meaning, I know what you can do at the NBA level. I'm going to have you do that here in Chapel Hill. And if you play that role here, I can go tell every NBA personnel and front office exec, I know that Isaac Shade can come do this for you because he's done it for me. And I expected the same of him at Chapel Hill that I did in Denver or Sacramento. That, man, how is that not appealing and enticing to every recruit out there, every portal guy? And I know there's a lot of enticing places to say. I'm just saying North Carolina is now more in the mix because, fair or not, I think there was not a trust with North Carolina didn't have a great name in recruiting. It felt like. I know Carolina brought in some of those names with Caleb Wilson, with last year, Drake Powell and Ian Jackson. But there was all this Carolina never getting the benefit of the doubt. I believe with Michael Malone, and again, we'll wait to see who the assistants are going to be, that Carolina's name will once again be pristine and not trampled on in these circles. People are going to try to do it. Michael Malone doesn't know how to recruit, right? Like that'll be the negative recruiting. Michael Malone doesn't know how to come out and get you. Fine. But he's going to put dudes around him who will, and it is going to work in those ways. Nikola Jokic himself at a Nuggets press conference yesterday said, quote, I think he's going to do a really good job because he can actually coach the guys and teach them how to play the game the right way. Danny Green on ESPN yesterday, quote, I'm loving this. I had Michael Malone as a rookie at Cleveland. He was a great X's and O's offensive juggernaut to me. So this is a great hire. I love the situation for him and for us, UNC. This is the start of something new, end quote. Danny Green, big Carolina guy, multi-time NBA champion, says that Michael Malone is an offensive juggernaut. And we have Mark Campbell, who just said he's the best defensive teacher I've seen. The guys are bought in straight from their mouth to God's ears, or whatever that phrase is. That's great. Now, let's turn our attention, though, to personnel, because multiple Tar Heels have already entered the transfer portal, but with a twist. Oh, and by the way, those Dylan Mingo rumors that were out there yesterday, fake news. We'll talk more about all that after I tell you about FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are here, where every possession matters, every matchup is magnified, and every game can swing a series. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers just like you a great way to get in on the action. Here's what I like about it. You can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. The app makes it super easy to follow the action with player stats, trends, matchups, all in one place. And during the playoffs, that extra insight really matters when you're looking at stars, role players, and key moments. It's going to make the entire playoff experience more engaging from start to finish. FanDuel already has out lines for next year's NCAA national champion. The Tar Heels, even with all their unknowns, have the 11th best odds at plus 2,200. Maybe you really believe Coach Malone will do it in year one. Just right out of the gate, we're cooking. If so, go ahead and check that out. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel. Once again, play your game. All right, as we're talking back here, I'm going to bring up the Isaac Shade scholarship chart for those of you who are maybe new or hanging out with us for the first time. Anytime there is personnel movement for Carolina, in and out commitments, whatever, I update this scholarship chart. As a reminder, now, with the changes last year because of the house settlement, roster is limited to 15 spots and everybody gets a scholarship. So the way I talk about this now is because you can't just say scholarship player anymore because that's everybody. So I say scholarship level players now, meaning the players who would get a scholarship. So 4 players are already out into the transfer portal, 1 to the NBA. As a reminder, Caleb Wilson has already announced his intent to leave. That's why you don't see him show up on this list. By the way, if you're if you're listening to this and not watching in real time with us, then you can go back. I have this chart posted on my Twitter feed, just my name at Isaac Shade. You can go find it there. But then we had 4 guys who have gone into the portal, but they've done the smartest thing imaginable given this situation. On Sunday, Isaiah Dennis was the first to announce that he was going into the portal while, I don't have his quote pulled up in front of me, but some version of while maintaining the option to come back to North Carolina. Then the next one to announce his intention to enter the portal yesterday was Jaden Young. Somebody in the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, that link's in the show notes, would love to see you there, had said he left open the option to return, but I didn't see that verbiage, so I'm not going to report it that way with Jaden Young, but I wouldn't be surprised if it were true. And then 2 other Tar Heels, kind of in the order they did it yesterday, were Derek Dixon and Jonathan Powell. If you go look at each of their official posts, not the one from On3, the ones directly from the players, if you can, always go to the first person source before. Like On3 is great, but it is a secondhand source, just like I'm second or third hand typically, right? Like you first and foremost always want to go to the players when you can because it's the best information. Because both Derek Dixon and Jonathan Powell also mentioned in their announcement leaving open the possibility of a return to North Carolina. Here's why this is so brilliant on the day that the transfer portal opens. These guys are giving themselves options. Yes, maybe they want to play for Michael Malone. Maybe Michael Malone wants them to play for him, but they don't know. They don't know yet until they start having conversations with Coach Malone, with the assistants, GM, whoever all needs to get in and be those decision makers. So in the meantime, I want to explore the possibility, because I committed to Coach Hubert Davis, that I might not come back to Carolina. Somebody might want to offer me a big old fat bag, and it's a place where I want to go play. And if so, I totally get it. Go be great, fellas. But also, there is the possibility that you could come back. In fact, I would be shocked if more North Carolina guys decide to do this. There's some that maybe just go ahead and stay, and that's great and fine. But another version of this is, I wouldn't be shocked at all if Henry Vasar goes and tests the NBA draft process. In fact, he should. Why not go get evaluated by your potential next employer? Find out what you need to be employed by them. And if it's not time to stay in, come on back. We'd love to have you. And by the way, this drove me crazy. One of the first things I tweeted upon hearing the Michael Malone news was, how did I want to make sure I get my phrasing correct with this thing, because people have really picked up on it. Dear Henry Vasar, please go watch all the film of how Michael Malone used Nikola Jokic in Denver, and then go ahead and come back for another year in Chapel Hill. And people went bonkers on this. Oh, well, Henry Vasar's not the player that whatever, that Jokic is. Oh, Jokic hated Michael Malone. Like, just all these ridiculous things. I get that Henry Vasar's not, but it's like, that's the type of person you could be, is where they operate through you as a point center, right? And so that's the thing. So, but Henry, go figure out if the NBA wants you. If they do, awesome. That's great for Carolina. That's great for you. Go do it and maybe come back. The other piece of personnel news I need to tell you right now, one of the other names you see on this list is Dylan Mingo, one of the 3 incoming freshmen. There was a report yesterday, I guess we could call it a report, from a Twitter account saying that Dylan Mingo had decommitted from the University of North Carolina. Hear me say this loud and clear. Everybody, you in the back of the bus, are you listening? It was fake. You've got to be so careful in this day and age. Here's, like, just look a little bit into what you're reading. Again, go find the source. Don't just rely on hearsay. If you go to the source of where that came from, it was a Twitter account. You might be familiar with Barstool. It was a Barstool Syracuse account. But here's the thing. It was a fake Barstool Syracuse account. There is a Syracuse Barstool account, but this wasn't even the real one of that. Second, why would a Syracuse Barstool account be the one breaking this news? That is completely illogical. Third, this tweet attributed the news to Pete Nakos, which is fair. He works for On3 and does a good job breaking these bits of news, whether it's, the coaching news or other things. But here's the problem for this account. They attributed that to Pete, who again works for On3, but the picture they used was an ESPN breaking news thing. It had ESPN's branding on it while attributing it to Pete Nakos from a fake Syracuse Barstool account, which again, why would Syracuse account be the one breaking this? It doesn't make sense. So all that to say, myth busted. It's fake news. If ever you have a question, before you assume something is real, please, I beg of you, take a beat, take a moment, and do a little investigation. Or if you don't trust yourself to do that investigation, come find me. Come tweet at me, DM me, hop into the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, which again, that link is down in the show notes, where I'd be more than happy to talk with you. In fact, the Discord didn't even need me yesterday. They had already sniffed out before I even got to it that this was a fake. So don't get all worried before you know that it's actually fake. All right, there we go. I just had to get rid of that rumor. So now, that's not to say that Dylan Mingo can't and won't explore his own options. But until that is actually true and from a reputable account, let's not go spreading rumors. All right, there you go. Oh, man. Okay, so we wait still. Let me refresh goheels.com one more time and see if we have any update before we get out of here. No, we don't. Timestamp 9:39 a.m. Eastern on Tuesday morning. So again, When this news is official, we'll talk more about it. We will find out when a press conference is, assistant coaches, GM, player personnel, all of that. And as part of player personnel, there's going to be a lot of conversation we have right now often about transfer portal stuff, both guys going out and coming in. As a reminder, the portal is open today, April 7th through April 21st. It's a shortened window to 15 days, but you don't have to commit in those 15 days. You just have to enter. So keep that in mind. All right, that's it for today's show. We'll be back tomorrow, probably another combination of Coach Malone talk and transfer portal stuff, because that's the season we're in right now. And that's going to be what the discussions are for the foreseeable future. So buckle up for that, and let's go on the ride together. If you've not subscribed to the show on video and on audio, man, subscribing on audio, I cannot tell you how beneficial that is. Yes, do it on YouTube because that's great. But the audio numbers really move the needle in a big way. So if you're new to the show and you've never done so before, it would mean the world to me if you would subscribe to Locked On Tar Heels on audio. You might never listen to a single episode, but if you would set it to download, man, that would be incredible. If you've not joined the Everydayer Club, that link's in the show notes, as is the link for the Locked On Tar Heels Discord we've been talking about. Go check those out and join us. You guys, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tomorrow, but until then, peace.